Hello and good evening, everybody. Well, everybody who's watching. That may be just you. I'm back here with another video on swords this time, another sword video. I got a tad more dressed up for the sword videos, in case you can't tell. Figure for the car videos, what's the use in getting dressed up? Every time I go near that thing, I get full of grease. So, what I have this time is a Kai Gunto, or naval military sword. Japanese naval military sword. I'm going to try to show as many details as possible while I'm describing this. And yes, this is all authentic. This is another one, though, where I made the scabbard, and it is coated in urushi, the traditional Japanese lacquer. Made the scabbard and used real antique, not really antique, I guess, but World War II era vintage fittings. Because you'll notice that the fittings are in better, different shape, the fittings on the scabbard, than the fittings on the handle, because the fittings on the scabbard was the best matched set that I could find. And I couldn't really find a matched set that fit the patina of the fittings on the handle. And that would occur naturally sometimes with these swords, in that a lot, I was going to say a lot, I don't know about a lot, but at least a few of them had leather combat covers or canvas combat like service covers on the scabbard. They would routinely have that because, again, these are naval military swords, so they were on board ships, submarines, destroyers, aircraft carriers, that sort of thing. And yeah, they tend to be more rare than Shingunto, than Army Shingunto, because the fate of a lot of the Japanese Navy was not too good. So a lot of it's at the bottom of the Pacific, and you find maybe a few of those swords there. I don't know what the condition would be anymore, though. But as you can see, the handle fittings are all authentic, original as well. I'm going to hold it as close as I can there. And you can see how the lacing is alternating, right? And there's the black covered same ray skin underneath the handle. These manuki that I think at one point were in a little better shape. And the sarote here. I'm going to try to slowly show detail also, so you collectors out there can differentiate the authentic examples from the fake ones. And then see, here's the spaced stepped seppa on the sword guard here. And from this little hole, we could also hypothesize that the original scabbard probably also had a leather cover over it, because this probably had a leather band around it, which explains why it's not completely eaten up or not as aged as the manuki, and a little strap going through here to hold the leather cover securely over here. Basically what it did is it held the handle more securely to the scabbard so that it wouldn't just come flying out under duress. And we could take this out. See, again, if it's stuck a little bit, you don't have to go jamming it like, ha! You know, simple squeeze. It's loose. There we go. Have it well supported, right? See it move along the mune. Because what happens a lot of times is people just pull these things out without looking at it. Or they're looking at somebody here, they're looking over here, and they're like, oh yeah. Like, look at the blade coming out so that it's not abrading the sides. And again, this should be done correctly so that the wood is along the side here, and that this fitting isn't too far down or too far up. Because if that happens, what that means is when you're sliding the blade in, there's a better chance that the blade, instead of sliding against wood, is going to slide against metal. You don't want that to happen. I mean, ideally, you don't want the sides of the blade scratching against anything anyway. So let's put that there. And here is a blade. Now, I have to level with y'all. I can't tell whether this is traditionally made or not. Whether it's made of mill steel, oil tempered, or whether it's traditional steel, water tempered. I gotta tell you, I'm personally leaning towards mill steel, oil tempered, because you don't see a lot of detail in the Hammond here. The Hammond, to me, especially from my point of view here up close, looks oil tempered. It's still sharp, and it's not a very long sword, but it's hard to hold in just one hand. It is incredibly robust. Like, this could go through a car door. Not like I would do that. Don't do that with your swords. That's, maybe if you buy something for really cheap and you have an extra car, don't stick it through random cars, don't stick it through your car, you're going to have a problem when it rains. So, anyway, that's the blade. As you can see, it is rather straight. It has a well-defined point section and boshi in the point section, but again, the boshi there, it doesn't really stand out. It doesn't really pop. I'm leaning towards then probably not traditionally made. So now let's take off this handle, and I can show you the order of the seppa, the spacers, and how to get this thing apart and together. Use my hammer here for this purpose. Not the hammer part, this part. Got the pin out, see? And again, the pin, as you see, is tapered. One side is bigger than the other. Ta-da. Remember how the tapered pin goes in? And again, sometimes this is rather tight. What I do at those points is, let me get something in the tissue to hold this. What I do at those points is, you don't have to aggressively do this. Sometimes just doing this. Slide this back and forth. And sorry, you probably hear my dogs and my family going bananas. That happens around these parts. So again, just squeeze. And look, it's apart. We have a space. So I didn't have to like slam anything or hammer my wrist or anything like that. So take off the handle. Remember, hold the blade pretty steady because the weight's going to go to there. And especially on these naval Kai Gunto, the order of seppa matters. So, and there's something interesting here too, a leather one. And this has sometimes happened. Look, the bottom one is leather. That's how it came. That's how this came. So, bottom one is leather. That would happen sometimes. And then you have this. That's the alternating. See, it's meant to be like alternating sun rays. Right? And I think originally it had a finish that stood out more. Like there's probably brighter over a darker fish roe, like Nanako background. So that's the seppa that goes there. Here's the suba, right? You could see the outline of where those big seppa went, right? I'll put that there next. And then the next one. Ta-da! Here we go. And you could see the alternating rays and a little bit of the original gilt finish, see, on the inside there. And then the other side is just flat. And this gives you an indication also of the quality, you know, what to expect in a genuine example. And then here's the top seppa. Again, you see the outline of the habaki there, right? So you can tell where the habaki goes. This seppa will give it away. And then here's the habaki. This one just slides right off. It fits nice and snug here. And on genuine examples, it should. So you have a genuine example, you're wondering, oh, is this genuine? Is this like a fake, a reproduction or whatever? The habaki should either be silver, foil wrapped, sometimes gold foil wrapped. I don't know about real gold. I mean, very rarely on military examples, gold foil wrapped. Or plain. If it's going to be plain, it's going to be a plain brass or a plain copper like this one. And you see it has a wear pattern on the habaki that indicates it's original. It has a patina. Do not ever polish off the patina on a habaki. Don't do it. If you're going to send it to Japan or whatever to be silver or gold foil wrapped, or to a professional artist in the U.S. who does that, who does it, and not just like as a hobby, then that's another story. But if you have something that's natural like this, just leave a natural finish. Don't. The same thing goes with all these fittings, all the fittings. Don't ever polish the fittings. Just leave the patina as it is. Leave it. Maybe a thin coat of oil to prevent further oxidation, but that's it. A thin coat of oil. So this is the Nakago, the Tang of the sword in question. This says Jumyo, alternately Toshinaga, but in this case, I really think it's Jumyo. And on this sword, there are no arsenal stamps, so you could pass it off as being traditional, but something about this blade and the hamon and the lack of detail in the hamon is telling me it's still oil tempered and possibly mill steel, but it's just not labeled on the Tang as such. There's no Tang stamps to denote that. That would happen sometimes. Typically, if non-traditionally made, it's denoted with the Tang stamp somewhere up here, where the habaki goes, or just beneath it, but not all the time, as you can see in this example. Now, another confusing part about this Jumyo signature is that in some sources I've seen there are smiths, like a Jumyo, like the smith is Jumyo or Toshinaga, but swords with this signature were also given as good luck gifts. So that signature really, it's like another way of saying like a good luck sword, good luck token thing. So I don't know myself. If anybody knows, they've done more research on this, write in, comment in, please go ahead, go for it, do that. Because to my knowledge, it seems to be like it can go either way. There could be a smith like Toshinaga, or Jumyo, like Jumyo's the smith, and sometimes the smith may have a totally different name and chisel it on as like, all right, this is, for good luck, and then sell it like that. And again, I brought this up in my previous videos, but I'll bring it up again in this video, is these swordsmiths were, they were guys selling a product. So they couldn't, in rare exceptions, could they afford to be pure artists who didn't have to worry about making money. Usually they had to worry about, what the rest of us have to worry about is making money. And money was a lot harder to come by then than it is now. So a lot of the time, people who made swords, who made the fittings, the scabbards, they were like, no joke, starving artists. They weren't raking in the cash. Those are rare exceptions. So if they had to make a blade and sign it Jumyo because somebody was going to buy it as a birthday gift or a present for a birth or an anniversary or something, or going off to battle, then so be it. I'll sign whatever you want. So that's that there. And no, this isn't a stamp. It's just an indentation of some sort, but it's not a stamp. Sorry, I checked this thoroughly. No stamps. So what we can do now is, go over the process of putting this back together and how I think it should be held. Again, my hand is on here, on a tissue or uncoated napkin, uncoated tissue napkin, never on the blade itself. So the habaki goes on first. Again, that fits snug, not too snug. Seppa, die seppa, big seppa, Tatsuba, another die seppa, and then the leather seppa. Came with the package. It's original to the handle. It works. Fits tight. I'm not going to bother. All right, so that fits in. And I remember how this went in, tapered, went in like this. See that hole here? Bigger, a lot bigger than that hole here. So if you take your time, and please, yeah, take your time. If you have one of these that's out or you need to make one, you're like, which way should this fit in? Take your time. Check it out. Look at it. Right? There we go. Fits in tight. Don't have to hammer it in. Usually you don't have to hit these in or hammer them in or anything like that. Just fits in tight. There you go. And check to see if there's any like debris from the scabbard on your blade. No fingerprints. Everything looks good. And you can put it back inside the saya. And again, since I made this saya, right, new for this blade, it looks like this in a traditional Japanese scabbard. If the seller is claiming that it's original to the sword and it's really from World War II or older, this wood's going to be a lot darker. All right, probably, especially if it's Honoki. If it's the original Japanese magnolia wood, it's going to be significantly darker from that, plus age, time. All right, so there you go. Again, I'm going to move back so you can see this part. Rest it on there. Once it's resting on the wood, you can look down. Make sure it's not abrading the sides at all. It's just resting on the mune as it goes in. And send it home. Tidy enough. Pretty good, as you can see. All right. So set that down. Thank you for coming once again, and I'll see you in the next video.